Good morning. My name is Jaden Baker, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about comprehension terminology. So, a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Jaden Baker. I'm originally from Aurora, Illinois, but I currently reside in Saucier, Mississippi. I have my bachelor's in elementary education, in which I obtained this from the University of Southern Mississippi. I graduated in 2026, and I cannot wait to get to know you guys a little bit more while I teach you some strategies for comprehension. So let's begin. What are comprehension strategies? Comprehension strategies are deliberate and they're cognitive actions that readers use to make sense of a text. We do this subconsciously and consciously through our day-by-day lives, as well as inside of a classroom and outside of a classroom. These can include predicting, questioning, clarifying, summarizing, visualizing, and making connections. How are comprehension strategies used and applied within a classroom? So an example of how comprehension strategies can be used is during a shared reading, a teacher can pause to model thinking out loud. This can look like, I wonder why the character is upset here. Maybe something happened earlier in the story. This helps motivate students to think on their own, to go back to the text, and to make their own predictions. Talking about text structures next. So what are text structures? Text structures are the way authors organize information within a text. This can include sequencing, problem and solution, cause and effect, compare and contrast and description. So an application of text structure within a classroom could be while reading a nonfiction passage, the teacher can highlight signal words like because and as a result, which helps students identify a cause and an effect structure. So for example, the boy blew a big bubble. That would be our cause, and it splattered on his face is the result. So it's our effect from blowing the big bubble. This works perfectly. This example works perfectly for little kids, younger grades, and students who just might need a little bit more guidance with understanding this concept. So informational text. Informational texts are nonfiction texts, which are written to inform or explain. These texts include features such as headings, diagrams, captions, and factual content. This informational text is widely used for science, history, and technical reading. So it gives facts about the topic. So an example of informational text being applied within a classroom is a teacher uses a non-fictional article about animal habitats during a science lesson, which teaches students how to use the headings and diagrams to locate key details. Moving on to literary text. Literary text includes fiction, poetry, and drama, which is created for artistic and expressive purposes. So as you know, Shakespeare is definitely a part of this genre and branch. This can include setting, characters, plots, and the theme. An example of literary text application includes during a read out loud of a fable, the teacher stops to discuss the character's motivations and how the setting affects the plot. Key words are fable, motivations, and setting affects the plot. So there's an example down there talking about some animals living in a forest and how it's safe for them, but not following directions can become dangerous for them. Metacognition. So metacognition refers to thinking about one's own thinking. So in reading, it means being aware of comprehension and using strategies when understanding breaks down. So I put a picture of the metacognition cycle, which is something we do consciously and subconsciously every single day, and your students do as well. Metacognition application within the classroom can look like a teacher teaching students to use a stop and think strategy, one pausing after they read each paragraph. And the students can ask, what did I just read? If they can't answer it, they need to reread the passage or that paragraph. So this is a form of self-monitoring, which improves the reading comprehension for the students. And it allows teachers to have little check-ins to see where their students are falling. Reading comprehension is the ability to understand, interpret, and draw meaning from text. So this involves decoding, vocabulary knowledge, background knowledge, and the application of comprehension strategies. Reading and comprehension application is in a classroom can look like reading a story. The teacher asks students to retell the events and explain the theme. So this can be a read and recall worksheet. This can be a class discussion. This checks both literal understanding and the deeper interpretation, reinforcing key comprehension components. Summarizing, we do this every single day. Like I said, inside the classroom, outside of the classroom. So it's the process of identifying the main idea and essential details of a text and restating them concisely in your own words. So it strengthens the understanding by focusing on key information and being able to identify the main points. So an example of this is students read a short article about recycling and then they write one sentence that tells the main idea. This way it narrows down to what was the most important thing, what do you need to know from reading this. Bloom's revised taxonomy. So Bloom's revised taxonomy categorizes levels of cognitive thinking, processing from lower to higher order skills. So it'll start off from the base, remembering, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. And as you go up, it becomes more advanced. So after reading a folk tale, a teacher can ask students to analyze a character's actions and evaluate their decisions. This is higher order tasks that go beyond recall and remembering and understanding by promoting deeper comprehension and critical thinking. Story elements. Story elements are the key components of a narrative, including character, setting, plot, problem, and resolution. This helps readers make sense of literary text. So an example of this being applied in a classroom could be a story map. In a guided reading group, students fill out a graphic organizer with story elements after reading a short story. Identifying these parts can help them understand the structure and meaning of the text and how it all falls together. So overall, comprehension strategies. Comprehension is intentional and teachable. Strategies and structures work together to support understanding, and literary and informational texts require different skills to be utilized and applied. Metacognition and Bloom's taxonomy helps deepen thinking, while teaching story elements and summarizing builds retention and analysis. Thank you all so much for your time today, and I hope you could take some of these key ideas and strategies and apply them within your own classroom and everyday lives. Thank you so much.